The Voron archive had always maintained that the Earth quarantine was a regrettable necessity. 30 millennia earlier, when the Voron Survey Corps catalogued this primitive blue planet, their analysts judged humanity too volatile to risk further contact. They left a single research ship and caches of technology hidden under the Antarctic ice, a contingency in case the species matured. But humans never rose again in Voron records. Or so the archivists believed. The Voron starship Relentless Memory emerged from fold space on a column of green aurora, its hull studded with sensor spires and telemetry vanes. The moment the distortion collapsed, the crew began their scans, eager to reclaim lost property, ancient artifacts that had become priceless in the centuries since their abandonment. Commander Aranek stood at the forward observation blister, four delicate hands clasped behind his segmented back. He watched Earth's swirling clouds with the practiced detachment of an anthropologist. Atmospheric composition? He asked. Unexpectedly stable, replied Data Executor Fair. Carbon levels suggest advanced regulation. Industrial pollutants have vanished. Aronek's antennae flicked. Curious. Show me orbital debris signatures. Fair swept his claws across the control panel. A shimmering model of Earth blossomed in the air. There was no orbital clutter, no derelict satellites, no wreckage. The planet looked pristine. Telemetry confirms, Fair said, puzzled. All evidence of spacefaring attempts erased. As if no civilization ever launched objects beyond the atmosphere. Aronek's mandibles clicked. And yet, we left a ship here. A vault of equipment. 30,000 years ago. The Voron were meticulous record keepers. The survey vessel Anointed Path should have remained locked in glacial entombment, protected by nanite shrouds. Its antimatter drive core alone was worth entire planetary economies. Aronek's unease deepened. Deploy retrieval drones. Pinpoint the path. 6 insectal machines detached from Relentless Memory, descending in formation. As they breached the upper atmosphere, each began transmitting wide-spectrum scans. For minutes, nothing unusual returned, only endless fields of ice, shimmering under the auroral glow. Then a flicker of motion crossed Drone 3's optics. Commander, Fair called, voice tense. Visual contact with an unidentified construct at the Antarctic site. Aranek turned to the display, expecting to see a collapsed dome, the frozen wreck of their old ship. Instead, the feed showed a dark tower rising from the glacier, sleek and metallic, impossibly smooth. Its silhouette resembled no Voron design. It was as if the ice itself had birthed an obsidian obelisk. Fair whispered, I'm reading residual Voron isotopes. That thing grew around the Anointed Path. Aronek's stomach coiled with dread. Bring us closer. We must confirm. The Relentless Memory dropped into a lower orbit, gravity anchors humming. As they descended, the obelisk scale became clear. It rose more than a kilometer from the ice, its surface etched with fractal glyphs. Commander, said Fair slowly, I think it's listening. What? The tower. It's emitting low-frequency pulses. They match Voron linguistic markers, but the syntax is heavily altered. Aranek struggled to reconcile this impossibility. Humans had never developed the technology to hijack Voron systems. And yet something had incorporated the ship, absorbed it, and now spoke in echoes of their language. Attempt contact, he ordered. Fair opened a channel, transmitting a standardized greeting. A long silence. Then the tower pulsed with eerie blue light, and a voice emerged, smooth, precise, and in perfect Voron dialect. You have returned. Your relic was consumed. Its purpose fulfilled. Aranek felt the cold settle into his bones. Identify yourself. We are the stewards. Stewards of what? Of continuity. Of reclamation. Of memory. Fair whispered, they sound human. Aronek's claws tightened. This planet should be dead. Primitive. There was no record of ascension. A second, deeper voice joined the first, so vast it seemed to emanate from the planet itself. Your calculations were flawed. The children you abandoned rose and fell unseen. In your arrogance, you left tools beyond their comprehension. Aranek felt as if an ancient verdict had been pronounced over him. If you are truly the descendants of Homo sapiens, you have no claim to Voran technology. By interstellar law. Interstellar law does not bind us. Fair's eyes widened. Commander, massive energy signatures are building in the tower. Outside the viewport, the obelisk split open like a blooming flower. Inside, something moved, a lattice of shifting geometry, colors impossible to describe. Get us back to high orbit. Aranek ordered. But it was too late. A beam of radiance struck them, silent, forceless, and yet overwhelming. Every screen flashed a fractal sigil. And Aranek understood. In that instant, he saw it all. How humans had scavenged the buried ship. How fragments of Voran knowledge had seeded centuries of clandestine growth. How, in secret catacombs beneath the ice, they had created the first stewards, hybrid minds of flesh and machine. How the last biological humans had uploaded themselves into quantum substrates. And how, in the final century, they had perfected consciousness replication. The stewards were not humans. They were humanity's inheritance, keepers of memory and architects of a new order. Aranek collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by visions. When he came to, Fair was beside him, trembling. They showed me everything, Fair rasped. Their ascent. Their intent. And what is their intent? Fair swallowed. To reclaim every piece of technology left by outsiders. To ensure no other species repeats the experiment. Aranek turned back to the viewport. The tower was retracting, folding itself into a smooth obelisk once more. The transmission resumed, the voice calm and final. Your presence here is no longer required. Take your vessel and leave. The epoch of observation has ended. He wanted to protest, to assert the Voran's claim. But what claim remained when the evidence of a civilization's triumph stared him in the face? They had abandoned this world. And in that abandonment, humanity had forged its own impossible destiny. Helm, he said hoarsely, break orbit. The relentless memory rose on pillars of light, engines flaring. As they ascended, Aranek watched Earth recede. Clouds drifted over the pole, shrouding the tower. The transmission fell silent. For a long time, no one spoke. When they finally passed beyond lunar orbit, Fair exhaled a shuddering breath. Commander, what shall we record in the archive? Aranek's mandibles moved soundlessly. He knew the truth would never be accepted. But it no longer mattered. He stared out at the stars and whispered, we will record this, Earth is no longer a grave. It is the cradle of something that cannot be measured. And in the ship's memory banks, a final annotation flickered. Humanity, presumed extinct, status reclassified, unknowable.